Now, wasn't that nice?
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Piers Britain. Welcome to I Remember Television Again. Remember as kids when we watched a video in school instead of having to do work? In the 1950s, many such films were made specifically for that purpose, and they are now collectively known as the Atomic Age Classics. These educational short films, when watched with the benefit of hindsight, are sometimes informative and sometimes corny, but always fun. Tonight, we will experience 3 of them, all pertaining to a topic dominating the minds of Americans in the 1950s, the possibility of nuclear war. Once radioactive weaponry was introduced to civilization in order to bring about the end of World War II, it had society on edge, and these films served an important purpose. If you're a video game player, you may recognize similarities between these short films and the video game series Fallout. The game is in fact based on these educational films. It's a depiction of what people from the 1950s thought the future would look like. While I'm on the subject, here's another interesting tidbit. The famous thumbs up character from Fallout is based on a rule the federal government used to tell people. If you see a nuclear bomb detonating off in the distance, hold your thumb up to it. If your thumb covers the nuclear cloud, you're a safe distance away. If the nuclear cloud is bigger than your thumb, you need to get further away from the explosion. Our first entry primarily educates on bomb testing sites. These have turned up in some notable contemporary fiction set in the 1950s. Who can ever forget when a mishap led to Philip J. Fry becoming his own grandfather on Futurama? And the refrigerator scene was unquestionably the most talked about one in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Now we get to see how the powers that be, including the Federal Civil Defense Administration and the United States Air Force, viewed such sites and what they felt the public needed to learn about them. So without further ado, the film Let's Face It.
Let's face it, the threat of hydrogen bomb warfare is the greatest danger our nation has ever known. Enemy jet bombers carrying nuclear weapons can sweep over a variety of routes and drop bombs on any important target in the United States. The threat of this destruction has affected our way of life in every city, town, and village from coast to coast. These are the signs of the time. Only in practice now, a rehearsal, a training exercise. But tomorrow, this siren may mean the real thing. And if you hear it, as you drive in your auto, as you sit in your office, or work at your bench, wherever you are, what will you do? What will happen to you? Let's face it, your life, the fate of your community and the fate of your nation depends on what you do when enemy bombers head for our cities. And that is why civil defense was organized. To teach you how to survive in the thermonuclear age, by taking shelter, or by evacuating your area as directed. Civil defense will teach you how to take care of yourself, your family, and neighbors. How to get official instructions and act according to plan. In time of atomic attack, the usual professional services, police, fire, welfare, hospital, and ambulance, could be bombed out, too busy, or unable to get to you and your family. Civil defense control points would function as the nerve centers for dispatch of organized assistance to disaster areas from outside the target districts. Every preparation is being made to deal with emergency conditions which would be created by enemy attack. To provide for communication with the public during an actual attack, our broadcasting industry and the federal government developed CONELRAD. This system permits the broadcasting of official news and civil defense instructions without helping enemy navigators find our cities by following radio beams. The CONELRAD frequencies are 640 and 1240 on your standard radio dial. A hazard unique to nuclear warfare is radioactive fallout. Unseen, unheard, and odorless, this substance can only be detected with sensitive instruments. Special training is necessary for radiological safety experts. Their duties will be to check radiation levels in both damaged areas and probable fallout areas. When sufficient warning time can be obtained by early detection of approaching enemy aircraft, withdrawal from key target cities or fallout areas may be ordered by local civil defense authority. The instinct of survival is inherent in all of us, and national survival requires that each one of us assume his share of the responsibility. There is work to be done, and each must cooperate. Opportunities for training with the Red Cross and other groups are everywhere. The combined efforts of many trained individuals are needed to make civil defense a forceful reality. This training is invaluable in preparation for enemy attack or the savage fury of nature. Experience in past disasters has proved the value of advanced training and the need for more stockpiling of emergency food supplies, medicines, and other critical items to care for the injured and homeless. However, it was the awesome power of atomic energy as demonstrated in wartime use that brought to sharp focus the new problems concerning human survival and the urgent need for a civil defense program based on facts about the atomic bomb. Opportunities to gain this information came with the study of structures in controlled atomic tests conducted at Eniwetok Atoll in the Central Pacific. The main objective of testing is weapons development to strengthen national security, but also included are scientific experiments for the Atomic Energy Commission, military projects for the Air Force, Army, and Navy, and defense tests for the Federal Civil Defense Administration, primarily concerned with the effects of nuclear weapons on cities, industries, and people. The tremendous effects of heat and blast on modern structures raise important questions concerning their durability and safety. Likewise, the amount of damage done to our industrial potential will have a serious effect upon our ability to recover from an atomic attack. Transportation facilities are vital to a modern city. The nation's lifeblood could be cut if its traffic arteries were severed. These questions are of great interest not only to citizens in metropolitan centers, but also to those in rural areas who may be in a danger zone because of radioactive fallout from today's larger weapons. We could get many of the answers to these questions by constructing a complete city at our Nevada proving ground and then exploding a nuclear bomb over it. We could study the effects of damage over a wide area under all conditions and plan civil defense measures accordingly. But such a gigantic undertaking is not feasible. Instead, we build representative units of a test city with steel and stone and brick and mortar, with precision and skill, as though it were to last 1,000 years. But it's a weird, fantastic city, a creation right out of science fiction. A city like no other on the face of the earth. Homes, neat and clean and completely furnished, that will never be occupied. Bridges, massive girders of steel spanning the empty desert. Railway tracks that lead to nowhere, for this is the end of the line. But every element in these tests is carefully planned as to its design and location in the area. A variety of materials and building techniques are often represented in a single structure. Every brick, beam, and board will have its story to tell. When pieced together, these will give some of the answers and some of the information we need to survive in the nuclear age. At varying distances from ground zero, the point of detonation, numerous experimental elements are assembled. Underground structures and facilities of various types play their part in duplicating the complexity of the modern city. The vast research program includes testing such items as covering materials, paints, varnishes, plastics, also various fabrics and samples of clothing. On the outskirts of our test city, a synthetic forest has been erected to determine the protective value of foliage and trees. To give us a ringside view of the event, high-speed cameras stand like lonely sentinels, ready to photograph the hurricane of fury. Before leaving the test area, a final check is made on the multitude of instruments and technical devices which will record a variety of blast phenomena for future study. Now, with all the elements in place, our test city is complete. From the air, its center will appear as a bullseye to the bombardier at H hour. On the morning of shot day, official observers, technicians, and scientists gather at News Knob to await the momentous event. This is the payoff for months of planning and preparation on the part of the Atomic Energy Commission, the military services, civil defense, and other test agencies. As part of an experiment to observe the phenomenon of atomic detonation at close hand, military personnel and defense officials dig in within a few miles of ground zero. After a final briefing from the officer in charge just before H hour, the men disappear into their foxholes. Every precaution has been taken for their safety. They're told to crouch low, shield their eyes, and remain down until the signal to rise is given. Now the moment of greatest anxiety, waiting those last few seconds. Seconds later, the blast wave reaches the trenches. As the tower of smoke and flame looms overhead, one thought is uppermost in all minds. Now it's over. The fury of it had stunned some, but not one was injured. High above, the smoke ring puffed by atomic breath rises skyward, watched by the men who had faced it. A scouting party takes the first look at the scattered wreckage of the test city. The imprint left by the hurricane of fire and blast remains here for us to read and analyze. From studies of ruins and damage such as this, we get the hard-to-come-by knowledge that helps us form rules for survival in modern warfare. While only atomic bombs are tested in Nevada, the results can be scaled for the larger, far more powerful thermonuclear weapons. A hydrogen bomb will destroy a greater area than the atomic bomb and will release more dangerous radioactive materials. But the problems of rescue caused by blast and fire along the periphery of damage remain the same. In these fringe areas, civil defense training can save many lives, lessen damage from secondary fires, and help establish emergency facilities. Now in a helicopter, the radiological safety men measure the amount of radiation. When readings indicate safety for human beings, the troops are led in for a tour of the area. By double-checking with Geiger counters every inch of the route, men can now enter safely and confidently areas spotted with radiological contamination, an indication of the progress made in understanding atomic hazards. And thus, each test adds to our growing fund of knowledge. For it is only by investigating and experimenting that we get the facts to keep our military and civil defense program up to date and effective. Every bit of twisted steel makes its contribution. Blackened ruins and ashes of a structure add another chapter. The shattered wreckage of a dwelling offers an eloquent testimonial. Piece by piece, like the parts of a jigsaw puzzle, our story is assembled, analyzed, and evaluated. Then the survival facts are made available to you through your local civil defense program. In the thermonuclear age, civil defense, like military defense, must be flexible. It must develop and grow, even as the forces that threaten our existence. And so until men of goodwill have turned this awesome power to peaceful uses, let us recognize the threat to our way of life, the threat to our survival, and let's face it.
While this first film primarily focused on teaching audience members about nuclear testing sites, it did in the beginning touch upon how to deal with the fallout from such a bomb safely. Our second film focuses entirely on that, utilizing actors playing quintessential 1950s nuclear families. Yes, pun intended. Whether or not you like that, I hope you like the film. Here it is, produced by the legendary studio RKO in collaboration with the Council on Atomic Implications.
Within this universe, there are many natural elements and forces at work. And in his search for truth and the betterment of his lot, man has uncovered gravity, the invisible anchor that keeps him safely bound to Earth, electromagnetic force, which he uses in industry, and atomic power, the explosion of an inconceivably tiny particle of matter, setting off similar explosions in other atoms, the energy of the atom. Scientists have long known about radiation, one of atomic energy's chief characteristics. Today, they can detect the amount of radioactivity present at a given time with many specialized instruments. One of these is the Geiger counter.
Say, what is that clicking?
You must be radioactive. Wait a minute, don't worry. You see, your watch has radiation, but it comes from the paint on the numbers that make it glow in the dark.
Well, what do you know about that? I've been carrying radioactivity around with me and didn't even know it.
Of incalculable aid to man's physical well-being have been the discoveries of medical science in the field of radiation. The most recent medical research in radiation has produced a whole battery of radioactive medicines manufactured at Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and sent to hospitals all over the country. Atomic weapons to save lives. And in the field of industry, advances in the use of radioactive substances are constantly benefiting man's search for newer and better methods of production.
And we need every sheet of steel plate at exactly the critical thickness. No more, no less.
How can you get a measuring device sensitive enough to show a variation of 1/10,000th of an inch without stopping production?
We can use radiation.
How?
You station a radioactive substance at this point in the production line and pass the steel over it. Over the steel, you put a gauge to measure the amount of radiation coming through. Now, if the steel plate varies in thickness in one direction or another, the amount of radiation getting through to the gauge will vary, and that gauge will register the change.
Looks as though you've beaten it.
But what about the atom bomb?
It has been stated that to speak of atomic energy in terms of the atomic bomb is the same as speaking of electricity in terms of the electric chair. It is true, however, that the energy which gives us the power to heal, the heat and light to make things move and grow, is the same energy released in the explosion of the A-bomb. To state and local governments falls the responsibility for action and cooperation within the limits of their own jurisdiction. The local air raid warden of World War II with his white tin hat will have a new, more specialized fellow worker, the radiological monitor or meter man. His job will be to determine the extent of contamination by radiation in atomic attack. The meter men will probably not use the Geiger counter because it is primarily for sensitive measurements. Their basic instruments of detection will be ion chambers, which accurately measure larger amounts of radiation. In addition, the community civil defense unit will set up attack warning devices, suitable shelter in case of emergency, emergency communication centers, adequate firefighting equipment, hospital and first aid facilities. Every person has heard some of the rumors and old wives' tales of this atomic era.
Who's been giving you this information?
Well, the boys down at the plant been...
You know there's a limit to what this A-bomb can do. You asked me if a flash from an atomic bomb could blind everybody. Of course not. If you look directly at the burst in bright daylight, you might not be able to see for a few minutes. At night, it might last for an hour or two. But in either case, it would only be temporary. Now, as for the radiation of the bomb, the chances that it will change your ability to have children, or that it will affect any future children you might have, are less than 1 in a million. Radiation will not make a place uninhabitable forever, possibly temporarily. No, the atom bomb will not blow up the world.
Then what will it do?
The three ways in which an atom bomb does its work are no mystery. The first is flash or fire. The second effect is blast. These first two effects of the A-bomb are therefore but a tremendously magnified version of any simple explosive. It is the A-bomb's third effect that is entirely new to explosives, radiation or radioactivity. But this radiation can be stopped. For example, 6 feet of earth, 3 feet of concrete, or a foot of steel all provide sufficient protection against radioactivity, even very close to the center of explosion. Fire, blast, and radiation. These are the three effects of an atomic explosion which endanger man. You are given warning. If there is a designated shelter or a reinforced concrete building available, go to it without delay. But even at home, you can effectively defend yourself.
Elsie, where are you?
I'm closing off the upstairs.
Good. Get down from there as soon as you can. Close all the windows, draw the blinds, and pull the drapes in front of them. That'll keep out fire sparks and glass splinters if the windows break. Close all the doors behind you, too. We've got to make this place practically airtight. Check everything here that might cause fire. Complete coverage is what you're after. The light colors reflect the heat and protect you from flash burns. It's better to wear coveralls because they're loose, and I can take them off and leave them outside in case they become contaminated.
The heavier the cloth, the better the insulation.
Elsie, you'd better pull the drapes on the windows back there. Joe, turn on the radio.
What about Mrs. Canning, the aircraft spotter? Does she have to stay outside in this?
She'll be spotting for planes, all right. And for people like her who have to stay outdoors in an emergency, heavy, loose-fitting, all-white clothing is the best protection.
Follow instructions. Stand by.
Very little time left. Since radiation travels in straight lines, I'd say the way I fix this corner of the basement gives us plenty of wall and earth and material between us and the possible military objective. We're well protected from the window, too. Yes, sir. Even if a bomb blew the house over, we'd have a pretty good chance here in the basement.
The walls can never be too thick. Now, children, I want you to sit down here against the wall. That's it. Now, crouch tight up against it.
Now listen, kids. If they're dropping an atomic bomb, it may go off any second now. Whatever happens, I'll give the signal when it's all right for us to get up. If there's an explosion, we'll wait about a minute after it's all over. Then we'll go upstairs and take a look around, see if it's all right for us to clean up.
This man has made good use of the time given him by warning. With calm and intelligence, he has employed the means of self-defense at his disposal. Thus, every man can greatly increase the chances of bringing his family and himself through any attack unscathed. But this man has an advantage, a well-protected cellar. If there is no basement in the neighborhood, seek shelter on the first floor of the house. An inner room with solid walls, with as many walls as possible between you and the probable target area. Get under a sturdy object, table, desk, bed, close to the wall. If debris should fall, the two will provide good protection. The most important thing is to keep out of line with the windows and to close them off so that broken glass will not fly in. Lie down flat on your stomach. Cover your face with your right arm so that it is protected by your elbow. Grasp the back of your neck with your left hand. But wherever a substantial underground shelter is available, it provides the surest, safest possible protection against atomic attack.
Civil Defense Bulletin. This has been an air burst. All persons attached to civil defense groups report to your post immediately.
Let's go, folks. Elsie, bring the blankets. We'll find out what happened to the windows.
What about the radiation?
Well, this was an air burst, honey. If the radiation didn't get to us when the atomic bomb exploded, just about all the dangerous stuff is gone. It went straight up into the air. The terrific heat makes it do that. And I don't think we're close enough to ground zero for the radiation to have even touched us. Elsie, you'd better tack those blankets up around the windows so that we can keep the house warm. I'm going outside to see if the house has been damaged by fire. If we're all right, I'll have to check the neighborhood.
Will you be all right?
If there are any fires, honey, they're just ordinary fires, and we're supposed to help stop them. Children, you better clear up the broken glass and all this debris. All in all, I'd say we've been very lucky around here. Nothing to do now but wait for orders from the authorities and relax. I'd hate to have gone through this without warning.
You are out in the open. Without warning, you are startled by an intense flash of light. You have seconds before the shock wave will hit you, before the debris starts flying. Hit the dirt. Get behind the nearest and best shelter. A ditch, a depression of any kind. But get down, flat on the ground, flat on your stomach. With your right arm covering your face, your left hand grasping the back of your neck. If you're out in the open in a built-up area, dive for the nearest concrete archway, the nearest and best shelter. Cover your mouth and nose with your handkerchief. It will help to keep out any possible radioactive dust. If you are blinded, it is only temporary. With the blast over, get out of the wreckage, remembering to keep as clean as possible. You're inside, perhaps in your own apartment when the flash occurs. You have seconds. Move toward the nearest doorway, corridor, or a stairway, or get under a bed or table, or get behind the couch or other large, heavy objects.
Are you all right, Mother?
Yes.
Alice, turn on the radio.
Where's Buddy?
I think he was out playing ball. Mother, pull the drapes and shield the windows with them.
He must have been caught out there in the blast.
Civil Defense Bulletin. This city has just undergone a surprise atomic attack. This was an air burst. Check for fires. Further bulletins are following immediately.
Shouldn't we go out and look for Buddy?
No. He's been hurt. Disaster units will take care of him. If he's all right, he'll come home.
Draw a pan full of water right away, Alice, and keep it covered.
Won't it be radioactive?
No. And don't take too much. Otherwise, you'll pull down the water pressure the firefighters need.
I'd better go out on the fire escape and see whether any fires have been started. Mother, go downstairs and see if old Mrs. Simmons is all right.
Fine, I'll go. But let me know just as soon as you hear what's happened to Buddy. Oh, Buddy's here. He's home.
Buddy, tell me quickly, where were you when the bomb dropped?
I was playing ball at the school diamond. I came home as fast as I could. I ran all the way.
Are you all right? Oh, you're hurt.
School's closer to where the bomb exploded. Mother, get Buddy's clothes off, then take him into the bedroom and have him lie down immediately. Clean up any of the cuts or bruises and bandage them.
Boy, it was hot, Grandma. I never felt anything so hot.
Buddy was much closer to the bomb than we were. Do you think he could have been exposed to prompt radiation?
I'm afraid he was in the danger range. He shouldn't have exercised so much, running home after the blast.
Corey, we've got to get him to a doctor.
No, Alice, we're going to follow through, cleaning up the house just as if we hadn't been caught unaware. And as for Buddy, the best way to help radiation sickness is to lie down and rest until you get medical attention. If Buddy has heavy nausea within 2 hours, it means he may have gotten a dose of radiation.
My.
I said may. And if he has, sickness induced by radiation isn't necessarily fatal. That's when we'll get him medical attention. Now we have work to do.
What can I do?
Oh, any of the food that was out in the open during the blast has to be kept separate from the rest. Then, as soon as we're notified to use the water, wash everything. Cans of food, pots and pans, the sink. But leave anything that you think might be contaminated to be tested later by the radiological crew.
Wouldn't it be best to just get out of the city?
No. If any evacuating is to be carried on, the proper authorities will decide it. We'll be notified and get orders and instructions. Right now, the safest place for us is right here. We're pretty lucky, Alice. Cement apartment house. No fires, not much blast, only a few broken windows. And chances are Buddy will be all right. But if he isn't, doctors can help radiation sickness considerably by using whole blood. Don't worry, darling.
This man, caught unaware, by acting quickly and sensibly, has minimized the danger to himself and his family from the after effects of an atomic airburst. While most Americans need consider only the airburst in their plans for self-defense against the A-bomb, to people living on the shores of large bodies of water, the water burst brings additional danger. In the case of an atom bomb detonated underwater, there is hardly any danger from flash. There is still danger from blast and its resulting debris, but the area of damage is small. But the severe danger is from radiation, lingering radiation. The radiation is trapped in the water, and the heat and blast cause the water to rise. Then it falls, causing mist, which emits radiation wherever it falls.
Civil Defense Bulletin. This has been a water burst. Stay inside or get inside and wait for further instructions from your local civil defense authorities.
We aren't even going to budge for about an hour. After that, we may have to wait another 24 hours before we even think about going outdoors. That radioactive mist will settle on everything, contaminate everything it touches.
The rule is keep away from the moisture. To stay as far away from radioactive mist and water as you can.
That's right, son.
Well, then, we'd better go upstairs and fix the living room windows. They're probably broken, and the moisture will get to us that way.
No, stay put. We've taken every precaution to defend ourselves against radiation already. If we move to unprotected parts of the house now, we may get a bad dose of radiation, so we'll stay put for at least an hour.
What if we were outside, Dad?
Then we'd get inside quickly, and behind enough material that would absorb the radiation before it got to us. Joe, finish tacking this blanket for me, will you?
Sure.
And when you're finished, you'll have to wash your hands thoroughly. They've got a little breeze just now. A nice, cool breeze of radioactive mist. Now, folks, watch while I give a demonstration of how to defend yourself against lingering radioactivity. First, you remove all the clothing you think might be contaminated. Then you scrub every part of you that you think might be contaminated. Once, twice, and again.
Do you think you've got it bad, Dad?
No, I don't think so, son. But if I have, I'm not going to have it bad very long. That's the whole idea of this scrubbing. If you get a little radiation, don't let it stay with you long enough for it to build up its dirty work. Because that's one way radiation can make you sick. If a little of it gets to you and stays with you long enough, it can do almost as much damage over a long period of time as one big dose all at once.
If you're radioactive right now, Daddy, does that mean that we can catch it from you?
No, Meg, I've got it all to myself.
Do you think we'll be all right, Jim?
Elsie, we've taken every precaution to lock that radiation out already. If it doesn't get to you right away, it starts to die. It may linger for a while, but it does die. And we can wait it out. We've got all the time in the world.
This man knows that his best defense against lingering radioactivity is patience, calm patience. In a water burst, the odds are with the man who stays put.
But what about the H-bomb?
A hydrogen bomb, though it might be 1,000 times more powerful than the atom bomb, would only cause damage over a radius 10 times as great, and the damage would be similar in kind. Hence, the principles of self-defense against the H-bomb would not change from those of the A-bomb. They would become more vital. Some of the scenes you have just seen have deliberately been made slower in order to bring home to you what precautions might be taken under ideal circumstances. When the alert is sounded, of course, you might not have time to do all of these things. Most important is to take cover in the basement, the center of a building, or in a doorway if you're in the street. Meanwhile, remember that civilian defense is everybody's business. All over the world today, powerful forces are at work for the preservation of international peace. It is the hope of civilization that the harnessed power of the atom will work for the good of mankind.
Remember, these atomic age classics were all produced as a way of providing school children entertaining ways of learning life lessons. While You Can Beat a Bomb showcased families, where the father would take the lead as expected at the time, our next one concentrates on children themselves and tries to be a bit more equal opportunity. What matters most, though, at least as far as the intended audience was concerned, are the cartoon segments. We get to see a fellow named Bert demonstrate principles of safety as best he can, which is actually better than we humans can. Your interest piqued? Great. Here once again made by the Federal Civil Defense Administration, this time with input from the Safety Commission of the National Education Association, is Duck and Cover.
Dum, diddle dum dum, diddle dum dum, diddle dum dum. There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and Bert the Turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and cover, ducked and cover. He did what we all must learn to do. You and you and you and you. Duck and cover.
Be sure and remember what Bert the Turtle just did, friends, because every one of us must remember to do the same thing. That's what this film is all about. Duck and cover. This is an official civil defense film produced in cooperation with the Federal Civil Defense Administration and in consultation with the Safety Commission of the National Education Association. Produced by Archer Productions, Incorporated. Hey, Bert, come on out and meet all these nice people, please. Oh, all right. We really can't blame you. You see, Bert is a very, very careful fellow. When there's danger, this is the way he keeps from being hurt. Sometimes it even saves his life. That's why these children are practicing to duck and cover just as you do in your school. We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous. Since it may be used against us, we must get ready for it, just as we are ready for many other dangers that are around us all the time. Fire is a danger. It can burn whole buildings if someone is careless. But we are ready for fires. We have a fine fire department to put out the fire, and you have fire drills in your school so you know what to do. Automobiles can be dangerous too. They sometimes cause bad accidents, but we are ready. We have safety rules that car drivers and people who are walking must obey. Now, we must be ready for a new danger, the atomic bomb. First, you'll have to know what happens when an atomic bomb explodes. You will know when it comes. We hope it never comes, but we must get ready. It looks something like this. There is a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever seen. If you were not ready and did not know what to do, it could hurt you in different ways. It could knock you down hard or throw you against a tree or a wall. It is such a big explosion, it can smash in buildings and knock signboards over and break windows all over town. But if you duck and cover like Bert, you will be much safer. You know how bad sunburn can feel. The atomic bomb flash could burn you worse than a terrible sunburn, especially where you're not covered. Now, you and I don't have shells to crawl into like Bert the Turtle, so we have to cover up in our own way. First, you duck, and then you cover. And very tightly, you cover the back of your neck and your face. Duck and cover underneath a table or desk or anything else close by. In Betty's school, they are talking about the atomic bomb, too. Betty is asking her teacher,
How can we tell when the atomic bomb may explode? And a teacher is explaining that there are two kinds of attack, with warning and without any warning. We think that most of the time we will be warned before the bomb explodes, so there will be time for us to get into our homes, schools, or some other safe place. Our civil defense workers and our men in uniform will do everything they can to warn us before enemy planes can bring a bomb near us. You may be in your schoolyard playing when the signal comes. That signal means to stop whatever you are doing and get to the nearest safe place fast. Always remember, the flash of an atomic bomb can come at any time, no matter where you may be. You might be out playing at home when the warning comes. Then be sure to get into the house fast, where your parents have fixed a safe place for you to go. If you are not close to home when you hear the warning, go to the nearest safe cover. Know where you are to go, or ask an older person to help you. You know the places marked with the S sign? They're safe places to go when you hear the alarm. If there is a warning, you will hear it before the bomb explodes. But sometimes, and this is very, very important, sometimes the bomb might explode without any warning. Then the first thing we would know about it would be the flash. And that means duck and cover fast, wherever you are. There's no time to look around or wait. Be like Bert. When there is a flash, duck and cover, and do it fast. Here are some older boys showing what to do if the flash comes when you are not in the classroom. This is what to do if you should be in a corridor. You duck and cover tight against the wall this way. Remember to keep your face and the back of your neck covered tightly. Try to fall away from windows or doors with glass in them. Then, if the glass breaks and flies through the air, it won't cut you. You might be eating your lunch when the flash comes. Duck and cover under the table. Then, if the explosion makes anything in the room fall down, it can't fall on you. Getting ready means we will all have to be able to take care of ourselves. The bomb might explode when there are no grown-ups near. Paul and Patty know this, and they're always ready to take care of themselves. Here they are on their way to school on a beautiful spring day. But no matter where they go or what they do, they always try to remember what to do if the atom bomb explodes right then. It's a bomb. Duck and cover. Paul and Patty know what to do. Paul covered the back of his head so that he wouldn't be burned, and Patty covered herself with the coat she was carrying. They knew how to duck and cover. They acted right away when the flash came. If they had been at this doorway when the bomb flashed, Paul and Patty would have ducked and covered this way, like this girl. Heavy doorways are a good place to duck and cover. She will be safer, too. Here's Tony going to his Cub Scout meeting. Tony knows the bomb can explode any time of the year, day or night. He is ready for it. Duck and cover. Attaboy, Tony. That flash means act fast. Tony knows that it helps to get to any kind of cover. This wall was close by, so that's where he ducked and covered. Tony knew what to do. Notice how he keeps from moving or from getting up and running? He stays down until he is sure the danger is over. The man helping Tony is a civil defense worker. His job is to help protect us when there is danger of the atomic bomb. We must obey the civil defense worker. We must know how to duck and cover in the school bus or in any other bus or streetcar. Duck and cover. Don't wait. Duck away from the windows fast. The glass may break and fly through the air and cut you. Sundays, holidays, vacation time, we must be ready every day, all the time, to do the right thing if the atomic bomb explodes. Duck and cover. This family knows what to do, just as your own family should. They know that even a thin cloth helps protect them. Even a newspaper can save you from a bad burn. But the most important thing of all is to duck and cover yourself, especially where your clothes do not cover you. No matter where we live, in the city or the country, we must be ready all the time for the atomic bomb. Duck and cover. That's the first thing to do, duck and cover. The next important thing to do after that is to stay covered until the danger is over. Yes, we must all get ready now, so we know how to save ourselves if the atomic bomb ever explodes near us. If you do not know just what to do, ask your teacher when this film is over. Discuss what you could do in different places if a bomb explodes. Older people will help us as they always do, but there might not be any grown-ups around when the bomb explodes. Then, you're on your own.
Remember what to do, friends. Now tell me right out loud. What are you supposed to do when you see the flash?
Duck and cover. Duck and cover. Duck and cover.
Our last entry for tonight also features animation, but is very different in tone from Duck and Cover. It's by far the most chilling of these 4 shorts, and its narrator speaks in the dark tone you'd expect from someone discussing the horrors of atomic warfare and trying to prepare audiences for unprecedented dangers. Film buffs will notice a scene that could have inspired the opening of the movie Vertigo, though if this were made by a feature film director, most would probably guess Kubrick before Hitchcock. Yet the short was not meant for any sort of entertainment. It was meant to explain essential steps for survival in the face of deadly radioactivity, and it still serves as a strong time capsule for the scary early days of the Cold War. Here it is, produced by some notable companies, including none other than the legendary Encyclopedia Britannica, Atomic Alert.
Clicking sounds, sounds that reveal the presence of radioactive rays. The instrument, a Geiger counter, is converting radioactivity into sounds we can hear. This radioactivity is coming from a small piece of radioactive material inside this plastic cylinder. The small amount of radioactivity coming from the cylinder is harmless. The luminous dial on this watch also gives off radioactive rays, which we hear on the Geiger counter. Even when there's no radioactive material near, the Geiger counter continues to click. This is caused by cosmic radiation that continually bombards us from outer space. But we don't get enough cosmic radiation to harm us. Today, atomic scientists produce radioactivity in large amounts. Radioactivity and radioactive materials have many peacetime uses. But we know, too, that they can be used harmfully, as in atomic bombs. The chance of your being hurt by an atomic bomb is slight. But since there is a chance, you must know how to protect yourself. To protect yourself, you have to know what the bomb does. Besides blast, there's radioactivity and heat. Can we protect ourselves from these? These children are protected. Concrete walls help stop radioactivity. Any wall stops the heat. The heat scorches the house, but does not harm the children. Any solid gives some protection. The thicker it is, the better. We have the national defenses to intercept an enemy, and we all form a team to help each other through emergencies. You are on that team. So is your family, each member of it. And in your community, every doctor, fireman, every policeman and nurse, every lineman and operator, every civil defense worker, in fact, every community employee is ready to help you if you need him. So your community is prepared for emergencies and ready to help other communities. We have state and national headquarters for civil defense. And your city has a civil defense corps. We have a warning system and a system of defense. Yes, we have the equipment and the people for an effective team. But, like any team, it can win only when everyone knows his job and does it well. What is your job? What if a warning siren sounds? What should you do? Look for cover, the nearest cover. Don't try to make it home unless home is the nearest place to go. Don't hesitate. Find cover. Everyone is in on this. Strangers will understand. Finding shelter quickly may save your life. If you can't get into a house, get behind a wall or a steep embankment on the side away from the city. Civil defense teams will go into action immediately. If you're home, you've work to do.
Hi, Susie. Everything's fine upstairs. How you doing here?
Okay, I guess.
That's good.
We repeat, cover windows to protect against the possibility of broken glass, heat, and radioactivity. Turn off fires. If you are home and are not assigned to civil defense duties, go to your prepared shelter. Those who are in shopping centers, go to prepared shelters
fire in the kitchen's
immediately.
out. Now we'll go down the basement.
In this practice alert, we are assuming that the attack will come on the waterfront area.
See, it's just practice. All this rushing around for nothing.
Now, there's just where you're wrong. We need this practice. Now, come on, let's do our job.
That's good thinking. We all need practice. Here's a clean, well-prepared shelter in the basement. Ted and Sue have a battery radio, and they have soda ash and stirrup pump fire extinguishers. They have other emergency supplies, too. A flashlight, a well-equipped first aid kit with plenty of bandages, tape, and scissors. A Red Cross first aid book, a few cans of food, a good supply of water, blankets, and an electric lantern in reserve.
You know, Susie, this stuff would come in handy on a camping trip.
I'd a lot rather be on a camping trip. Say, what would we do if we didn't have a basement?
At school, they told us we should be away from windows and behind double walls. You know, like an inside hall.
Ted's right. If you live in an apartment house, you can't all go to the basement. Head for a shelter area. If none is marked for you, find cover away from windows and in a hallway if possible. Wait for the all clear. Be calm. If you're on the playground, run for shelter. If you're in the schoolyard, get into the building. Move quickly, but in good order. Inside, go to the shelter area you've been assigned. Take your place on the floor. Here's one good way to protect your eyes and neck in case of a bombing. Wait for the all clear. So far, you've been watching a practice drill. But what if there is a bombing that comes without warning? What is your job then? Find cover immediately. Don't look at the flash. Stretch out. In about 1 minute, the immediate danger is past. Then head for safer cover. Another bomb may fall. Get indoors if you can. Shed your outer garments. They may have radioactive particles on them. If you're home, take shelter and stay down for about 1 minute. By then, the danger from radioactivity, heat, and blast have passed. Protect your eyes and neck.
Let's get things shut up.
Sue found shelter under her bed.
Ted, let's get the battery set.
When the house current is off, that battery radio is essential. Keep tuned in.
The airburst of 3:01 p.m. was zeroed on Union Station. Heavy damage extends from about 14th Street north to as far south as the waterfront.
You know, we're lucky.
To western.
That blast was miles
Stay
from there.
under cover unless you have civil defense to... I've just been handed a bulletin. There's been an underwater burst at the waterfront. Water thrown up by the bomb is falling as mist and rain, and it is radioactive. Avoid radioactive mist and rain.
What do you mean by radioactive mist?
According to what Dad said, the radioactivity gets into the mist and rain. And if the mist or rain gets on you, it's apt to make you very sick.
What would you do about it?
I'd scrub thoroughly with a detergent and water.
What's a detergent?
It's something like Mom uses when she washes dishes and clothes.
Don't drink tap water. It may be contaminated.
Ted and Sue are waiting for the all clear.
I'll see who it is. Hello, who's there?
It's your block warden, Mr. Carlson.
Come on in, Mr. Carlson.
Hello, Ted.
Hello.
Ted, this is Mr. Franklin, our radiological monitor. He's here to check for any radioactivity. I saw your mother down in the shopping center. She's fine. Well, there's no damage here.
No, it's been very good here.
Hello, Sue.
Say, have you seen my dad lately?
He's down at headquarters, and boy, he's really busy.
Yeah? Well, there's no radioactivity here. Say, Mr. Franklin, is that a pen on your coat there?
Oh, no, that's a dosimeter.
A dosimeter? What's a dosimeter?
Well, it measures the amount of radioactivity that I've been exposed to. But this is the meter that I use to check with.
Hey, Mr. Carlson, is there anything I can do outside to help?
No, Ted, everything is under control. You just stay here till the all-clear signal is given. You've done a good job.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson.
Bye, Sue.
Bye.
A good job. That's what everyone must do to be safe. Doing a good job means simply following the rules in an alert or an attack, and waiting until all is clear again. In this early and troubled stage of the atomic age, our very lives may depend on always being alert.
We've seen a plethora of fun videos tonight, haven't we? Some may say this, of course, would have been better than listening to a teacher ramble, but as a professor, I totally disagree. If you're watching us at home, on your TV, or on a mobile device at kpcr.org, we're particularly flattered. We hope we can count on your viewership for our next episode as I Remember Television Again.